Are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have John Horn on the line, and he's CEO over at StubGroup Advertising. John, welcome to the show.
Adam, so great to speak with you.
All right, John, so excited today to talk about today's topic. So whether or not businesses should bring digital marketing in-house or outsource. So I think that's a great topic. And just to get us kicked off, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing over at StubGroup.
Absolutely. So here at StubGroup, we are a digital advertising agency. So we work with brands large and small across the globe, helping them manage their digital campaigns across Google, Facebook, and Microsoft, Amazon, so forth and so on. We're just trying to connect them with customers who are searching for them or need to find them online.
So, at the end of this, I'll give you an opportunity to leave your website or social media, or however people should follow up with you. What type of companies, you mentioned large and small, any specific niches or things that you specialize in over another?
We like to say that we are vertical agnostic when it comes to the clients we work with. So we've got everything from a local mom and pop shop, just trying to reach people in their local area, up to multinational corporations and pretty much everywhere in between. So we're pretty diverse, the clients that we serve.
So I like to look at this topic, from both sides of it, if you will. So meaning whether a business should keep things in-house or what kind of things they should keep in-house. And then also we'll get into, what are some obvious things that they should possibly outsource. Let's start with the in-house. I mean, what are some of the things that you've seen, many times make sense for in-house marketing teams to keep a handle on?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that comes up a lot when businesses reach out to us and they're trying to make that decision of, hey, should I keep that work in-house, hire employees? Should I work with an outsourced agency, some combination? There's a couple scenarios that I see where it makes sense to keep that in-house. Usually it's going to be more of a larger business where they just have so much going on in the digital marketing space that they need people full-time in-house, just monitoring things, working on things, testing things, and they're driving enough revenue from those campaigns to justify the expense of having one or more full-time employees working on those campaigns all day, every day. So usually it's, again, a large organization where they have that need, and then often, too, if they have need for real-time monitoring or real-time changes. For example, maybe they're needing to constantly create new Facebook ads to jump on the latest trend, or they have some kind of real-time bidding strategies where they need people monitoring things every minute of the day. Those are some scenarios where it might make sense to have people in-house where they're always going to be laser focused on your campaigns. But even in those scenarios, often what I'll see is that those companies will have kind of a combination of in-house teams, as well as try and tap into some outside expertise to help on maybe the strategic side of things or keeping up with new features or changes rolling out from the platforms.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And so those are quite usually pretty big budgets when we talk about spend in general for somebody to justify the expense of of running those campaigns. Obviously, there has to be a direct ROI towards that overhead, not just wanting to keep it in-house, so to speak. So it makes sense for there to be a business reason behind it. And I've seen people make the decision both ways. Like some want a little bit more control, some don't. I mean, some are kind of hesitant to work with outside help for some of that, especially if they've scaled or they've done a lot of things in-house, and that's, where they got to where they were. And I guess that's we've always done it this way syndrome, if you will.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of the way that it usually works. So I guess let's look at the other side of the coin now. And what are some things that you think just are pretty logical to go and to hire outside agencies who maybe have a different expertise or excel in a different niche?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest pros to working with an outside agency is simply being able to tap into a much wider breadth of expertise and knowledge. So if you have an in-house team, you're limiting yourself to the knowledge and experience of that person or those people. And it's really easy as time progresses for those team members to just kind of get tunnel vision. They know what works or what doesn't work maybe in their space. But when you're working with an agency, they're able to see what's working, what strategies, what tactics across all kinds of different businesses. They're able to see much wider trends and patterns in consumer behavior and how people are reacting to digital advertising. And then they're also usually much more up to date with the latest and greatest that the platforms are rolling out. So new strategies, new features, new ad types, because Google and Facebook and the other big platforms out there, they're constantly looking to train those agencies and, hey, here's what's working, here's what's newest, here's how you can get that competitive edge. So simply having that depth of expertise and having that information about what is new, how can you get it on top of your competitors, and then also too, a third thing I'd say is simply having advanced support from those platforms. So most advertisers, they're not spending enough themselves to get access to advanced support at, say, Google or Facebook beyond just kind of calling the main line and hopefully reaching somebody who can answer a question. But at the agency level, what we're able to provide, and other agencies like us, is much more, or I should say, much higher level of support. So when those problems, issues come up, which always do come up, you can try to get to the bottom of those things and get resolution much more quickly and in a much more satisfactory fashion for our clients than if you're just trying to work through the normal generic helplines.
Man, that's a great point. Definitely having that agency contact and not having to deal with it yourself or in-house or figure out what's going on. I mean, that's a great point. So what's interesting that you're seeing from your vantage point? Because you do have an interesting thing because you work with many companies, so you have your finger kind of on the pulse of what's out there. So what's interesting and exciting you right now in your space?
Yeah, well, I'll say e-commerce in particular has had a very wild year, as you can imagine, since the start of COVID, and just the sheer number of consumers who've shifted so much of their spending online. So we've seen and helped a lot of our e-commerce clients kind of capitalize on that. We've seen some record numbers for many of them as they tap into that change in behavior. We've also seen a lot of historically retail companies make the move to e-commerce and realize, okay, this is the time where we need to reach people online because we can't rely on them being able to come into our physical brick and mortar locations. So that's been super exciting. And then along with that, because there's been such a rush, like a kind of a gold rush to the e-commerce space, we've seen Google and Facebook really crack down in the way that they enforce many of their policies related to e-commerce companies. And so we've seen a lot of companies accidentally violating policies they didn't know they were violating and getting red stripes or getting their accounts suspended by Google and by Facebook, which puts them in a pickle of a situation because it's really hard to reverse those issues once they happen. So we've also seen a lot of people reaching out to us looking for help with those types of things, as well as helping our own clients with that and trying to make sure that they're dotting all their I's, checking all their T's, and keeping Google and Facebook and so forth happy with how they're structuring their accounts and their websites.
So we're just going into Q2 of 2021 as we're recording this. So what's next for StubGroup?
Yeah, what's next for StubGroup is continuing to work with new clients, bring on board new clients that we think we're a good fit for, where we see opportunity to help them grow. We've got lots of people reaching out. Either they've been working with agencies and aren't happy with the results they've seen, or they're just getting into the advertising space. Like I said, a lot of those retail locations that are making the plunge, moving some of those dollars over to the digital side of things. So it's been really fun to help them strategize how they can come into the 21st century in that way. And then we're also really doing a lot on the Amazon side of things as well, because, again, so many people start their journey searching for any kind of product online on Amazon. So that's the place you need to be if you're selling some kind of a physical product. And there's a lot of advertising tools and other tools available through Amazon to help make that profitable for you as a seller.
Awesome. Well, John, it's been great having you on the show today and getting tips from your vantage point and from what you're doing in the agency world. That being said, if somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about what you're doing and to connect with you and your team over at StubGroup, what's the best way for them to reach out and to do that?
Yeah, best way is just check out our website, stubgroup.com, and give us a call to the number on there, fill out a form, check us out. We'd love to chat about what you're doing and see if there are any ways we can help with your own advertising campaigns.
Fantastic. Well, John, really appreciate you coming on the show and learning more about your business. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to come back and to be a return listener or viewer if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. And John, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Adam.